Death has come to your little town, Sheriff.
So since it's almost Halloween, I figured I'd tell you the story Halloween. And you might like it even more because the main character's name is Laurie.
Sure.
So we see this kid Michael, whose sister sucks at babysitting because he's just standing outside by himself on Halloween.
Is he waiting for her to take him trick-or-treating?
Maybe, but when he looks in the window, he sees her boyfriend playing with his mask. The boyfriend wants to go upstairs with his sister, so they leave the room. Michael goes to the back door, goes into the kitchen, and grabs a knife. He walks around the corner to see her boyfriend already walking down the stairs. I guess he just wanted to see what her bedroom looked like, because that wasn't very much time for what he went up there for.
This isn't a man.
Well, Michael grabs his mask, puts it on, and heads upstairs to his sister's room, where he stabs her to death.
Michael!
Hey, babysitter!
Now in the course of 60 seconds, she's had 2 guys walk into her bedroom, penetrate her, and leave. Michael then walks outside to see his parents pull up, and they just stare at the 6-year-old dressed like a clown, holding a bloody knife like, "Now Michael, we have to talk about you stabbing your sister."
I think he's cute.
Well, 15 years later, we see a doctor and nurse driving in the rain, but they pull up to the hospital to see a whole bunch of patients grazing like cattle.
Michael's around someplace.
Dr. Loomis gets out and tries to call the hospital. Well, the nurse apparently forgets about the psychos running around, and when one jumps on the top of her car, she rolls down the window to see what it was. She gets attacked, and the patient steals the car.
For God's sakes, he can't drive a car. Maybe someone around here gave him lessons.
The next day, we see this girl Laurie, whose dad wants her to drop off a key at a real estate property for him.
The keys! Oh, the keys!
On the way, she bumps into Tommy, the kid she's babysitting tonight, and we see that the house she's going to is Michael's old house. And her dad must suck at his job, because this house is not in showing condition at all. And you'd think you'd want to spruce up the local murder house.
Does anybody live here?
Well, not since 1963 when it happened. Every kid in Haddonfield thinks this place is haunted.
I mean, if 6-year-olds already know it's a murder house, that's pretty bad. You might want to clean up a little bit. Turns out, Michael was the escaped patient, and he's inside the house. Well, he overhears Tommy and Laurie discussing her babysitting him, and he's like,
Hey, babysitter!
so since he doesn't like babysitters, he's gonna stalk her.
Oh, is this another love story?
No, this is like a scary stalking. Like, he's crazy and he wants to kill her.
Then why didn't he kill her when she was at the door?
I don't know. He attacked the nurse without a weapon. Anyway, he watches her walk away and just breathes really heavy. Well, Dr. Loomis is really mad that the hospital let Michael escape. And he thinks that Michael's heading back to Haddonfield.
Because I know him.
He hasn't spoken a word in 15 years.
I'm his doctor. You must be ready for him.
More fancy talk.
In class, Laurie looks outside the window to see a guy in a William Shatner mask staring at her.
Hey, babysitter!
After school, Tommy's being picked on by the only kids in town who don't celebrate Halloween. And they tell him the boogeyman's gonna get him, and they make him drop his pumpkin that I guess he brought in for show and tell or something. I don't know why he has it other than for him to drop it and we feel sorry for him. Well, Michael saw the whole thing and follows Tommy.
Subtle, isn't he?
Dr. Loomis randomly stops at a phone booth on the side of the road and calls the Haddonfield police to warn them about Michael. Well, this happens to be next to a truck that Michael ran off the road, killed the driver, and stole his clothes.
So he pulled over because he saw the truck.
No, he sees it after he calls the cops. But he knows it's Michael, not because of the hospital gown that's in the bush, but the strip club matchbook that he saw the nurse use in the station wagon earlier. And he's so motivated to find Michael that he doesn't even care what happened to the driver.
I told everybody. Nobody listened.
We see Laurie walking with Linda, who's complaining about how complicated her social life is, because she's a cheerleader, but also ditching cheerleading practice to hang out with her friend. So I'm not sure how that works out.
You can either ignore it or you can help me to stop it.
Their friend Annie runs over and complains about how her boyfriend got grounded, so he can't come over while she's babysitting. Linda and her boyfriend Bob are supposed to meet up with Annie later, and Laurie will just be across the street.
Terrific. I've got 3 choices. Watch the kids sleep, listen to Linda screw around, or talk to you.
Michael pops out of a bush
Hey, babysitter!
and creeps Laurie out. She bumps into Annie's dad, who's a cop, and stupidly doesn't tell him that there's a guy in a Captain Kirk mask following her around, and he was just in the neighbor's yard.
Why? Because that's his job.
She goes home, and when she goes to close a window, she sees Michael standing by her laundry.
Hey, babysitter!
But the wind blows, and he disappears like a magician dressed up like TJ Hooker. The phone rings, and she hears chewing on the other end, because apparently Annie can't talk with her mouth full. But she calls back to say that she'll pick her up at 6:30.
But Tommy lives close enough that she was walking him to school. Why does she need a ride?
I didn't know you thought about things like that, Lori.
Shut up. They're teenagers. They drive just because they can. Well, for some stupid reason, Dr. Loomis goes to the cemetery to see Judith Meyer's grave, and he sees that the tombstone's been stolen.
Why do they do it? Goddamn kids.
We get candy.
Lori and Annie are driving around smoking weed to the point where they don't even notice Michael's following them. They see Annie's dad. He tells them that someone broke into the hardware store that's open and stole some masks, rope, and some knives.
So we're supposed to think it's Michael, but he had the mask way earlier when she was in school.
Well, maybe they just suck at their jobs and it took them 4 hours to respond to the call. I mean, after all.
I think he knew. I'm sure he could smell it.
Could have been a skunk.
Dr. Loomis shows up to talk to her dad and misses his own car drive-by. So the girls drive around for a few more hours without noticing that Michael's still following them, and they go to their respective kids' houses to babysit the only kids in town who don't trick-or-treat.
Don't you know what happens on Halloween? Leave me alone.
The sheriff and Dr. Loomis pull up to the Myers house and check it out. Well, they find a dead dog, and they determine that either Michael or a skunk ate it.
He got hungry.
Could have been a skunk.
Could have.
A skunk?
Yeah, apparently skunks break into houses, lure dogs in, and eat them. It's very common in Illinois.
Yeah, you know, every town is something like this happens.
If you say so.
Dr. Loomis wants to stay and wait for him, but he tells the sheriff not to have the cops warn everybody about the violent escaped murderer running around town.
Seems to me you're just plain scared.
Yes.
At the house that Annie's at, the dog is barking at something, and Tommy looks outside the window and sees Michael. He tells Lori, but despite thinking someone's been following her around all day, she blows him off because Annie told a boy she likes him. Well, Annie gets a small dab of butter on her shirt, so she strips and has to go do laundry.
Shh! When do we see breasts? I want to see Jamie Lee's breasts. When do we see Jamie Lee's breasts? Breasts? Not until Trading Places in '83.
Well, the dog goes after Michael, and apparently he gets hungry again. Annie locks herself in the laundry house, and then gets stuck in a window. Well, we know Michael's outside, but doesn't go after her because that's not dramatic enough or something.
Hey, babysitter!
Annie's boyfriend calls, and she dumps the kid off with Lori so she can go get Paul. In exchange for this, she says that she'll tell the boy she likes that agreed to go on a date with her the next night that Lori actually doesn't like him if she watches the kid.
What?
Don't try to understand it. Teenage girls are stupid.
So I always forget my chemistry book and my math book and my English book and my...
The only thing that ever bothers me is their gibberish. When they start raving on and
It doesn't
on.
matter if you have your books or not.
Yeah, I think I got it.
Annie then goes to her car where she realizes she doesn't have her keys, gets them, and goes back but doesn't notice that the car is unlocked when she comes back. Michael's in the back seat and he attacks Annie.
Hey, babysitter!
Oh, is this one of your cheap tricks? This has not been my night.
Tommy sees him carrying Annie into the house, and he reacts in a way that ensures Lindsay will never be attracted to him ever in the future.
Oh, Tommy, stop it!
The sheriff checks in on Loomis and says that I want to go home, but if you think there's really a psycho killer out there, I guess I'll do my job.
You ever done anything like this before?
Linda and Bob show up at Lindsay's house and think that no one's home, so they go upstairs where there's a jack-o'-lantern next to the bed. In case we forgot, it's Halloween. So after this teenage boy overcomes erectile dysfunction,
Can't help it, the phone keeps ringing.
he gives Linda the best 30 seconds of her life.
Want a beer?
I'll be right back.
Never, ever, ever, under any circumstances, say, I'll be right back. Because you won't be back.
And he goes downstairs to take some beers from Lindsay's parents. Well, Michael doesn't like this, and he stabs Bob. And it seems like maybe Bob wanted to die because he doesn't put up much of a fight. Well, Michael pins him to the wall and then admires his work. And this must be the longest, sharpest knife the hardware store had to offer, because it goes through both Bob and the door with plenty of room to spare. He then dresses up like a ghost to go kill Linda, but I'm not sure why. He's already dressed up like Johnny Moon. Linda calls Lori, but while she's being killed, it sounds like she's kind of enjoying it.
Put me down! This is totally silly! Don't rip my blouse, it's expensive, idiot.
Well, after several hours of standing by a bush, Loomis finally notices his stolen car across the street.
So who cares?
Hey, now that's wonderful.
Since the kids are asleep, she decides to go visit her friends, who she thinks are all...
Everybody's having a good time tonight.
Well, she goes around to the back of the house where apparently a skunk dragged off the dog's dead body, and either Bob didn't bleed when he got stabbed, or Michael mopped it up. She looks around for them downstairs, and despite thinking they might be naked, she goes upstairs to check the bedrooms.
You're not supposed to go up there.
Yes, I am.
Well, Michael posed Annie with his sister's tombstone,
Annie? Was that you?
and rigs Bob's body to swing from the ceiling,
Bob?
and a door to pop open to reveal Linda.
Linda?
Like, I'm guessing Michael's under the bed pulling some ropes or something. I'm not sure how that works. Seems pretty elaborate. I mean, what if she didn't come over? So she finds out that all her friends are dead, and she doesn't try to call the cops or run. She just cries for a little bit.
Hey, babysitter!
And then gets stabbed. And then she falls down the stairs and forgets how doors work. So she figures out that she can break the glass to escape and runs to get help.
The old Girl Scout comes through again.
And let me tell you, she does not have very friendly neighbors. Well, Tommy senses her urgency and rushes to the door to let her in. She locks the door, but Michael climbs in a window without her noticing, but not before he cut the phone line. So Lori knows he's in the house because she can hear him breathing. Alright, so I have two questions. One, how did he manage to cut the phone line and get inside the house when he's walking so slow? And two, how did he sneak past her? The open window that he supposedly went through is right next to the phone that she was just using.
Oh, shut up, jerk. All right, you guys, what's next?
He tries to stab her, but she stabs him first with her knitting needles. Well, she's pretty sure he's dead, so she goes up to check on the kids instead of trying another phone. The kids see him coming up the stairs, and they separate, assuming he only wants to kill her. She hides in a closet, thinking the solid structure of the door will protect her.
You guys think I'm too smart.
She then stabs him with a coat hanger, which makes him drop the knife. She stabs him with the knife and sneaks past him. She then checks on the kids and tells them to go to the neighbor's house and call the cops, because that's worked before. Well, she stays behind for staying in danger reasons, and Michael sits back up.
Hey, babysitter!
Luckily, the kids run out screaming, so Loomis sees where they came from. He runs inside and sees Michael attacking Lori. He shoots him a few times, and he falls off the balcony. And when he goes to check on him, you see he's gone.
You mean he just disappeared? Where'd he go?
I don't know. Maybe a skunk came by and dragged him off.
As a matter of fact, it was.
You know, it's Halloween.
Guess everybody's entitled to subscribe, huh?
He's gone. He's gone from here. The evil is gone.
And the book ends.